shit! Damn! Fuck! Sorry. What?
I mean,
We
that-
start recording?
If we had to worry about fucking YouTube monetization, that would be out of the fucking window immediately, wouldn't it?
I mean, wouldn't you?
What was it? The first 5 minutes?
I think it's
They've
at
actually-
No,
at
it's like
least
the first.
first
It's like
minute.
the first 30 seconds or
Yeah.
something, and
To be fair, from what I've heard,
I just wanted
kind
to
of-
take Dairon's place in
Okay.
making something as like a good hook in the first few seconds.
What's
but,
it called? From what I've heard, they've actually relaxed that kind of ruling.
Mm.
You
Oh,
still
thank God.
can't do like excessive swearing.
Like what I
But
just
believe,
did.
I believe they've changed some of the stuff with monetization and stuff like that. So
Anyway, welcome back to the Storytime Network. We're not doing D&D today because unfortunately Gent is unavailable, so you've got the four of us just fucking talking and doing whatever bullshit.
Saying a lot of cuss words.
I mean, I have,
demonetizing.
I
you
have
know.
a topic we can discuss because I was there's a content creator I follow.
Oh boy.
Skitty Bitty is their name.
Is it Uma Musume related?
No. They
Oh, thank God.
they actually did like a very viral video on Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda, a while ago. And
I still need to finish Breath of the Wild.
but they were complaining while streaming streaming Silk Song, and they were discussing, because they're non-binary. That's why I'm using they. They were discussing the, how would I describe it? Basically, difficulty in games and the concept of hard games, and basically saying how, like, because from what I've heard, there's a few runbacks to bosses in Silksong that are a bit egregious to some. And they were just saying, like, how, you know, not everyone wants to spend their time bashing their head repeatedly against a wall, you know, when it comes to a video game.
Oh yeah, actually finish, then I'll say my
And
bit.
so one of the topics they brought up was about, like, that's a corpse. They didn't say that, I'm just looking at what Mill's doing.
This
He's
is
playing crime scene cleaner. Of course he's cleaning up corpses.
yeah. This
I-
is
I-
also the nightmare version of the first level. There are typically 3 bodies, and you only have to clean up in the apartment. There are 13 bodies.
Hey guys, total noob question. What are you watching that I can't see right now?
He's
Crime
screen sharing.
Scene,
You don't know how to do that?
But yeah,
Oh,
so,
there you are. Okay, wait. Okay.
as I was saying,
It's
though,
loading.
they were discussing about, like, you know, for some people who are, say, employed, how, you know, not everyone has the time to just play a game that they might not have might not make any progression on.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like, it... I actually think this is the point when their point started losing credibility. But I'll wait before I delve more into that. But again, the whole point was, like, you know, not everyone wants to do, like, a run back all the time. Not everyone wants to just keep trying the boss and losing all the time, you know, over and over and over. And, like, you know, again, some people only have a certain amount of time when, like, after getting home from work and things like that. And, you know, they were
Not to
saying
mention
how,
frustration and all that.
they were saying how, you know, like, it isn't that hard to just have a difficulty setting. And also just in terms of accessibility reasons.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, though, Jack?
Well, yeah, I was going to mention about difficulty settings, and also just, like, a lot of people want to play a game for, like, the story.
Well, that was
and,
also what they were saying, yeah.
Yeah. And, like, sometimes it's just going to be a case of, yeah, this is a good story, but I can't actually enjoy the story because it is such a difficult fucking game to play mechanically. Looking at you, Elden Ring, and all the Dark Souls games. I know FromSoft prides itself on how nitty-gritty and complex the mechanics are, but yeah.
So, I will say, speaking of FromSoft game, maybe it's just because I'm kind of... Maybe it's just because FromSoft games are kind of my speed, and I'm... One could say potentially a little bit built different. This isn't me being like, oh, you're bad if you struggle in a FromSoft game. Far from it. But like, because there are times where you might have struggled to do a boss and someone's like, oh, I beat it first try. Or it might be the inverse where you come across a boss, you beat it easily, and someone's like, it took me over a day to do that. But I think...
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I think you should not always be able to beat and or play every game that exists. I think part of the thing that makes games so interesting as a concept in terms of a medium is that they're kind of the only medium where you can't necessarily experience all of that medium if you aren't good enough at what the game requires you to do. And I think that's good in a way. I'm not saying that other mediums are lesser because of, you can just watch. I think
it's a mixed bag overall.
But what I will say is that I don't think everyone should be able to beat every kind of game. And I don't think... And not even from a... what's the word? What's the fucking word? I mentioned it earlier, like...
Accessibility?
Thank you. I don't even mean from an accessibility thing, I mean from a genuine skill thing. Because, like... like, say... Dark Souls, like... I think, might it be a shame if someone can't beat the game and they enjoy it? Yes. But, again, the whole point of something being difficult is that not everyone can beat it. However, I will also say, I think a lot of people who can't even beat Dark Souls or Elden Ring, which in my opinion are the two easiest FromSoft games, genuinely, like, get filtered at that point. Maybe that's mean of me to say, but I actually think at least those two are the easiest ones in the series, in FromSoft's catalogue to beat. For different reasons, though.
I mean, I it's not that I think Elden Ring is necessarily too difficult for me. It's just I kind of fell off on it because I was having a tough time, and I also got distracted by other stuff going on, and I just never got back to it.
I don't blame that, and to be fair, there are some things in all of the FromSoft games that are particularly bullshit. Some of it is, well, most of it is usually optional content, but there are some mandatory things in the FromSoft games I've played and beaten that are annoying. But, like, again, I think the whole point of saying that, oh, I'm employed, I have only a certain amount of time of day to do something, is a really bad excuse when you can just not play the game. And you could just play a game that is more easier to wind down and potentially de-stress from then.
Like Stardew Valley, for example.
Yeah, you could literally just log in, you could just play Stardew Valley, or just play a different game. Like, some people aren't cut out for super difficult games like roguelikes and Souls-likes and all those kinds of likes.
They are on kind of a curve, though. Like, some are going to be overall more difficult than others. Like, I think from what I know of the games, you're going to get, like, Hollow Knight, the OG Hollow Knight and Hades, for example, are an entirely different beast than stuff like Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, you can make a game as easy or hard as you want, You could bash your head against something using your strat. And it's not even to say that that's a bad thing. I mean, you play the game how
Nothing wrong with cheesing the game if you find a winning strategy, yeah.
And that too. Admittedly...
It's like I play Enter the Gungeon sometimes, and that takes its own kind of grinding, and...
Yeah.
You want to be at a certain level of proficiency to get good at the game.
Some people also just have different playstyles that they find that certain builds make easier for them. Like...
And they don't find it right away necessarily.
In Dark Souls, it's really easy to get your build kind of on the ground very quickly in that. Because all you kind of need to do is get one weapon that can kind of last you the entire game. And there's an accessory that is also extremely powerful. And you could just use those two things along with the rest of the things your build would want. And the game kind of, I don't want to say easy mode, because it's not easy per se, but it's kind of, in my opinion, as close to easy mode as is possible. Which is why I don't think people who boast that they beat Dark Souls or all the FromSoft games is a worthwhile boast to make, in my opinion. But and again, you know, like, it does feel mean to say, you know, skill issue, but because it's not exactly that clear cut, like, you know, haha, get filtered. Because, you know, again, some people do struggle with certain games. Like, I like Bloodborne, but there are things with Bloodborne that actually bother me. Not in terms of the game being bad, but more like this game sets off phobias that make it genuinely difficult for me to play the game properly. And, you know, like, I played enough of Bloodborne where I can say that, you know, I do think that is a tricky game, maybe for me, at least. But I also I also, at no point, felt like my limited time when I get home from work is something to be factored in, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, again, like,
you want to play stuff that you actually enjoy doing, not be traumatized by, right?
yeah, like, because
That's why I play baseball. Is like I only get somewhat traumatized by baseball, not completely.
I mean, yeah, you only have to be traumatized with how bad the Mets are, you know.
It's all about the Mets. No, but actually, baseball is such a game of failure that, like, you know, you fail 7 out of 10 times and you're still Hall of Fame level good. So it's a game that it's therapeutic for me because, like, I'm more successful in the video game than I would be in real life. But
yeah,
it's still a humbling experience nonetheless.
I mean, one of the whole things with fighting games being such a, you know, like, kind of a big filter for a lot of people is that, like, there is an expectation where if you're trying to grind the game and you're, like, playing against different people of different skill levels, you're probably losing a lot more times than you're winning.
Oh yeah, I mean, part of the thing with the fighting games especially is just the grind to get good at them. And
that's why so many people who rage at first-person shooters don't make sense to me, because I'm just like, dude, you're supposed to fail most of the time. You're supposed to get got.
Like I don't care for first-person shooters, for example. Like, I played Overwatch enough to the point where I can say, not only do I think Overwatch isn't a good game, if I'm being honest, or at least it stopped becoming a good game, in my opinion, but I also just detest the game.
Oh no, it got really toxic at some point. Like, I remember coming back to Overwatch 2 at some point, and it was I'm talking about gameplay and, like, the way people play the game. Yeah, like, because I came back to Overwatch 2 at some point, and it was just so bad that I played it for, like, maybe a few months, and then I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. This is bullshit.
Did I ever tell you guys how I actually got a message, like a DM off someone after a few games of Overwatch? Because they said because they said the character I picked was bad for the mission and for the map we were on and stuff, and I was like, I didn't even respond to him because there was nothing that I could have responded to. Oh, that's a corpse. There was nothing I could have responded to them that would have, like, mattered.
Oh no! I mean, they absolutely.
I also think ignoring them was funnier.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But, you know, my response would have been, "Fuck you! I'm playing the game to have fun. I like this character."
So, I will say though, in regards to that, at least, it's also why I don't tend to care for team games much because my playstyle might not gel well with a certain kind of team game.
Yeah.
And I'm not the kind of person where I would put. I think it's entirely possible to have your fun and also not grief.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that what you're trying to say, Mill, is griefing, but it's very, very easy for people to say that and also not care that they're griefing in a match.
Yeah.
Effectively. Because, if you're playing a certain character and you're just effectively feeding the enemy team, like, that is griefing in some manner. But again, I also just stopped playing Overwatch because I knew it wasn't for me. And I also think people wanting to enjoy a story is fine, but again, part of the whole thing with games is you simply might not just be able to enjoy that story because you're not good enough at the game. And again, that's not to be like, get filtered and skill difference, but like, there are some people who can read a book or watch a movie and still not understand what they actually read or saw or listened to.
Yes, the reading comprehension.
And so therefore, I don't think people wanting to feel like they want to enjoy the story is also a good enough excuse. Because, like, I will say, I don't think someone watching a stream of, say, Persona justifies them being a fan of Persona if they've never even bothered playing the game. Maybe that's my hottest take, I'll say. But I think you need to play the game to say you're a fan of a game. And I get the whole thing of not everyone can necessarily play a game, again, accessibility, this, that, and whatnot. But like,
my take on that is like, you can say you're a fan of the game in that you're like a fan of the characters or the story, but the game itself is a different matter entirely.
At the very least, I would say you shouldn't be allowed, in my opinion, you actually shouldn't be allowed to be in some discussions of a game if you've not played it.
I mean, definitely not a gameplay focus.
Yeah, not a gameplay or mechanics discussion for sure.
But because are you gonna get it, Mel? You want one?
Alright, gotta set them all up again.
No, it's fine. I'm joking anyway. But like, again though, I think wanting to play a game for its story is completely understandable. But again, if it's supposed to be like, if there's a difficulty option in the game, fine, play the game on the difficulty you want to. Who cares what some stranger thinks of you because you played it on very easy because you want to enjoy the story. Because in some cases, some games just aren't fun to play even on medium.
Some games phrase it in the sense that it's like, oh, you're playing the story mode versus like the challenge story mode or like whatever.
Story difficulty, yeah.
But like, if it's a game like, say, Hollow Knight or Dark Souls, where there isn't a difficulty mode, it is just the game. It is the game as is. Like, I know, for example, Celeste apparently has difficulty settings.
I've heard that, yeah.
But I also don't think the developers should be made to have to do difficulty settings in a game when some people want their intended experience for everyone to be not the same, but you know what I mean, like, everyone is playing the game on this difficulty, everyone is having, not everyone will experience a boss fight the same way, but the boss fight is effectively still the same for everyone, if you get what I mean. Like, yeah, sure, just because someone is fighting a boss with ranged weapons compared to someone who's fighting a boss with pure melee, obviously the actual fight as a whole is going to be different, but the boss is still going to do largely the same things it will do. It's just, the approach.
True.
But you know, if someone can't beat the boss because of their particular approach, in my opinion, that is fine. In the sense of, again, like, I don't think everyone should be able to necessarily beat a game, if you get what I mean.
It should be difficult.
Yeah, you know, if a developer wants to make their game difficult, fine. But I will also say, just because something is made with intent doesn't mean it is good. Because someone could make something that is difficult, but either fail to understand what is actually a good... what's the word? Like, just because something is made... Again, because something is made with intent doesn't mean it's good. Because, you know, like... The infamous boss fight in Elden Ring, Melania, is considered like the hardest challenge of the base game, and it is. But I also think some of that is due to unfairness on the game's part. As someone who's actually beaten Melania in every playthrough of Elden Ring I've played, which is 5 playthroughs I've done of the game, and I've basically I've 100% completed the game on PlayStation 5 and PC.
Damn.
And I've used different builds in every playthrough. Not like necessarily massively different, but still enough where it's still effectively a different build, even to some degree. And I feel like I can say that Melania isn't a good fight. For a lot of reasons. One being, one of the main mechanics she does is if she hits you, she regains some of the HP she dealt to you back to herself.
Which is annoying. That sounds really annoying.
The thing is, though, that in my opinion, isn't good. So, I will say, in a game with builds, I think it's fine that some bosses can potentially make you struggle harder than some others, or potentially, you know, like, maybe you're doing a build that requires you to do counterattacks, and some bosses make it hard for you to do that. I think it's fine. The problem is with Melania, she actually potentially punishes blocking.
So what I think is, like, I don't mind healing mechanics on bosses in some kinds of games, but in a Souls-like of any kind, I don't think that should be allowed.
I agree. I think the problem is with Melania, though, is her attacks are not only quick, but again, depending on your build, she can potentially, like... She only needs to do a combo, and you're potentially already needing to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Before you can even do anything of substance. It also doesn't help that part of the fight of Melania is she has the infamous waterfowl stance, which is like her special move, if you will. And the attack is effectively solved insofar as if you know how to evade her attack, it is possible to dodge it and not take damage. However, as a human being, doing that consistently is not feasible for most people.
No.
And I think that is actually a problem with the attack itself. Because, in my opinion, it's not a fair attack. And again, I've beaten the boss fight multiple times. I feel like I can say that it's a stupid fucking thing that she can do. Because it basically chalks down to her doing multiple attacks that cover her entire body. And again, if you want to do the quote-unquote solved way to avoid the attack, it requires a specific timing of dodging. And even then, it's still very easy to fuck up and potentially die because you got clipped. And then it causes the cavalcade of, well, I missed that hit, and now I failed to dodge this other part of her attack string. You know?
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's like a single fuck up will just cascade into a domino effect of bullshit.
To be fair, though, the boss itself is unique in that she's one of the few that is an endgame boss that is easy to have her stance broken. But good luck stance breaking her when if you're using a heavier weapon to potentially stance break her in the first place, when she might hit you multiple times and heal back from the damage you were dealing to her anyway.
Yeah, there's a couple boss fights I know have like a reputation in Elden Ring. I don't know if it's good or bad reputation, but a reputation nonetheless. One of them is Millennia. Another one is, I think it was Starscore's Radon.
Radon was really funny because on launch, he was actually considered very difficult. And depending on how you played the game, he could be your first major boss of the game. But if you're following a generally intended progression of the game, he will usually be your second or third major boss fight of the game. And even if that's the case, on launch date of the game, he was still overbearingly difficult for a lot of people. And since then, they patched him to make him easier, and then they patched him again to make him a bit more difficult. And, you know, there's kind of this, like... Did you pick up the Dreamcatcher just then, Mel?
Oh, yeah.
I think there was one you just passed by.
There is. There's one here.
Oh, right. Ignore me. But yeah. And, you know, Radon's one of them were... I think Radon's a pretty solved fight in terms of... If you're on your second playthrough, he shouldn't be terribly difficult for you to beat, unless you just have really bad RNG on the attacks he does. Which can happen with some bosses. You know, maybe that boss doesn't use its ultimate attack for the entire boss fight by the time you kill it, and therefore it's significantly easier than the guy who maybe had the boss fight do its signature attack, like, 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
Because that happened to me in a Tales of game, where the boss actually did his ultimate move 5 times, when even doing it twice is an irregular occurrence.
Jesus.
Yeah,
RNG's has really had it out for you then.
To be fair though, it's Tales of Zestiria. I also think Tales of Zestiria isn't a good or fun game. As someone who loves the Tales series. But
I think I have a couple of the Tales games. I think I have Tales of Arise on the PlayStation. I think I have a couple of the games in my Steam library. Let me double check. I have Vesperia, Symphonia, Zestiria, and I think I might have Berseria.
See, speaking of unnecessarily annoying or hard boss fights, Vesperia has a really egregious boss fight. I think it's like the 3rd boss in the game.
Oh, Jesus.
Where Vesperia's interesting because I think it's the only Tales game where it has optional challenges for you to do, usually involving you, like, knocking the enemy, say, in a certain part of the map, or letting the boss do a certain thing in the fight. And you get benefits if you do these challenges in the boss fight. The one for one of the bosses in Vesperia, though, is considered so difficult that it's not... You're not... How would I describe it? You could be forgiven for never bothering to do that particular challenge, because it's unnecessarily difficult and annoying to do. At the point of the game where you're at, where the boss hits really hard for where you're at in the game, the boss moves unnaturally fast for where you're at in the game, and you don't really have the dedicated healer at that point. You have basically three melee attackers, if I recall, and a caster.
Oh, that is not balanced at all.
And the problem is that the actual challenge the game wants you to do involves you... I think the boss needs to have its attack catch a particular part of the arena, because it sets off these, like, plants that can paralyze the boss. The problem is the actual... how would I describe it? the actual plants that paralyze the boss, basically, by the time they actually go off and could paralyze the boss, it's very likely the boss isn't in range to be paralyzed. It's genuinely luck if you actually can achieve it. And again, that's when you're not having the boss basically like kill you while you're also trying to get this secondary condition off. And it's just awful. Like, I don't know a single person that's played Tales of Vesperia that finds that boss fair or fun. Even if you're not even trying to get this special achievement, like, condition to be done.
Yeah, there's an art to making boss fights. As Mil can definitely attest in a run through the Arkham games, some boss fights were a lot more fun than others.
Yeah. No, for sure.
What would you say was your favorite of the boss fights we've had so far?
I liked Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was a fairly inventive one that forced you to use like a variety of your gadgets.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze was also similar in that regard, though. That was more of a puzzle boss.
Mr. Freeze was also good. I liked Mr. Freeze's boss fight. I've got to say. Try to think. I mean, the issue with especially Arkham Asylum. A lot of the
boss fights in Asylum were pretty samey.
Yes, they were sort of big guy is charging at you. You've got to fucking batarang him, and that's it, sort of thing.
The only two exceptions to that really were Ivy and Croc.
Yeah, Croc was interesting. Ivy dragged.
Yeah.
Is that the one where Croc's like... Is it you're in the sewers and you've got to like not make noises?
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much.
I remember my brother playing that one. Yeah.
That's a genuinely tense boss encounter, though. Yeah.
But like, yeah, and you know, like, how would I describe it? And I'm sure there's definitely like bosses in that where, you know, they just aren't even fun to like deal with.
I forget, what was your opinion on the Ra's al Ghul boss fight?
I liked it. Again, it was a change, which is always nice. I'm trying to think. I mean, I can tell you the fucking as I'm sure will not surprise you, Jack. The one that I liked least was, I mean, it's hard to call it a boss fight, but the fucking Predator challenge with Harley in the DLC.
Oh yeah, no, that was frustrating to watch, let alone, like, I can't imagine how frustrating it was to play. I mean, I can't imagine it, but still.
Because it was basically like, you know, the Predator challenges turned up to 11, the fucking like mooks doing stuff they had no reason to do, like turning around at a certain point when you were, you know, a step behind them and about to take them out.
They heard something. I heard something.
It wasn't even that, because I was in stealth. You know, I was crouched, I was moving slowly, they shouldn't have heard me, but they did. And in, you know, the regular game, they wouldn't have heard me. But because this was DLC, they decided, oh, we've got to make it harder for them.
I know one of my least favorite things with difficulty is when the game is like, we need to up the numbers. Like, you know, where it's like, we need these bosses to be damage sponges.
No, that is what I hate the most about Yakuza. Because that is pretty much their only like tactic for making fights harder, and it sucks.
Yeah, so, there's two things I hate with boss mechanics, and that's either doing bullshit, like just bullshit that fucks you over in the most annoying possible way, and just like the only difficulty is number up high.
I know when it comes to bosses, I generally prefer the idea of like, I would like it if they did if they ever changed the properties on things you've they did before. Like, I don't know, maybe the boss suddenly adds an electric element to their attack. Or, you know, maybe the boss does an entirely new move you haven't seen them do yet.
Yeah.
You know, on the harder difficulty setting. But when it is just, oh, my characters that could clear this boss on a normal playthrough are suddenly, like, taking twice the time it would do. Like, no, that's not good.
What bothers me, yeah, like, there's some mechanics that are just absolute bullshit, no matter how you see them. Like, some bosses in, like, I know it doesn't come up a lot in, like, most PC or console games, but, like, just like, say you have, like, buffing mechanics in the game, and one of the boss's mechanics is just removing all of your buffs.
Yeah, that's something that I hate about. That's also something I hate about, like, the Persona games, where it gives you these status effect moves that you then just can't use on the boss.
Yeah,
they just don't work.
I think I'm of the opinion any RPG where you have stuff like poison, sleep paralysis, you know, silence, and the bosses just have an immunity to those effects, I actually think at least 1 point is deservedly should go down on the rating for the game.
Like, I know there can be exceptions, like if it's a boss that has a different gimmick that's like, okay, this... Yeah. If it's like a gimmick thing, maybe, or like, if you poison them, they gain health from it because of their lore, or something.
Or you know, maybe the robot boss. Yeah, why would he go to sleep? He's a robot.
Yeah,
he can't be put to sleep. But like, when it is every boss in the game is immune to these status conditions, no, I actually think that makes the game lesser, even if only by a bit.
Yeah,
it's why I actually really love Chained Echoes. Because no boss, I think, is actually immune to any status condition in their game. But to be fair, with how Chained Echoes is, every character in that is a different niche of, like, party style. So you have the debuffer character. To be fair, the debuffer character in general isn't that strong. But if you did want to use him, you can, because the boss will let you poison him and shit like that.
Yeah. You know, it's the funniest to me is like in games with like large rosters of playable characters, when it's like a character is given immunity to like a specific type of debuff, specifically to nerf a character who's broken as hell because of the debuff they use. I just think it's very funny.
What's it called? I feel like people give Pokemon a bad rep for game mechanics when, like, apart from a few niche cases, you can poison pretty much 80% of Pokemon that exist. You can paralyze like nearly every Pokemon that exists. You can put nearly every Pokemon to sleep. You can burn nearly all of them. And I feel like people ignore that kind of shit when they like talk about the game mechanics of stuff like that. Whereas, like, you know,
also like the game mechanics for Pokemon are intentionally simplistic because, you know, they are aimed at children primarily, or families.
There's a lot of like,
there's a lot of nitty gritty to them, but like at the end of the day, they are still simplistic enough that a child could reasonably play them.
Like, I wouldn't mind a boss in a game where, they remove buffs, but it's to deliberately make you have to, like, rely on the actual equipment and stats your characters have. But don't make it a regular thing.
Yeah, it depends on if it's, like, a buff-centric game or not, as well.
Yeah, but
because, like, some games have, like, much more buff-focused mechanics.
When it's like Persona, though, and you kind of need to be on top of your buffs because otherwise you're fucked. It's not... It's actually why one of the things that bothers me about Persona anyway, because in my opinion, if your characters aren't doing good without being buffs, then to me the characters are actually very weak. To me, the buffs should only make them better, not make them actually usable.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a case of sometimes the buffs are necessary for boss fights, because you know, You should. If a boss is hard enough that you require buffs to, survive a specific telegraphed attack, that's one thing.
Because when I played Chained Echoes, again as another example of like a turn-based RPG, I only really used like the buffs or the deep buffs because it made the fights not winnable, but easier and quicker. Like, I could have not used the buffs, and it definitely would have made the boss fights trickier, but they're also achievable without needing to use all of the buffs I did. And I'd also recommend if anyone does play Chained Echoes, they should. It's a really good game. It's a German-made indie game that I think was made by like one guy, or at the very least one guy did a lot of the work.
Dang.
And it's also usually on sale and not that expensive.
If I had the money to spend, I might on it, but like I don't.
I really like it because the game's pretty self-aware. Like, it was made by someone who genuinely likes turn-based RPGs. The only problem I have with Chained Echoes is one bit near the very end of the game. But other than that, I would easily say it's like an 8 to a 9 out of 10. And again, like, if you put debuffs on the bosses, it actually fucking works. The only problem I have with Chained Echoes, and it's the kind of problem with games where you have, like, I'd say more than 6 characters, is that there are some units that are just objectively weaker than others. If only because some of the units you get in Chained Echoes are far too late to justify using them. Like, the designated tank character who manages enmity is very late into the game, and you probably haven't needed to care about enmity generation up to that point.
It's kind of interesting. Like a lot of RPGs in general are structured around like a linear plot that introduces characters as it goes. But in a lot of those cases, like there is like at least a couple characters who come in pretty late into the game and thus suffer for it, either mechanically, characterization wise, or both.
Haru?
Yeah, I was about to say, oh, poor Haru.
It's like
This is one of the bigger examples I was thinking.
Because I've not played Royale, and I don't intend to play Royale because I'm not buying the game again to play more of the story. It's good story, but I also, how would I explain it? I can't imagine Royale would give me more of Haru or fix the problems that Haru has with her availability as a unit.
I mean, adding a third semester does fix that, I'm pretty sure.
But it's also an entire third semester where I can use the characters I was probably already using at that point. Which, again, it's nice that they added more content to let you play as some of the characters that appear later on, like Haru. It's just a shame that, like, I think it's always going to be the problem in a game with, like, party members where the last party member, unless that last party member is so good, but then it runs at the risk of potentially, like, now my team is finally complete, because now I have the one character I actually really needed.
There's also the case of, like, characters suffering, like, just, like, characterization-wise because they have no plot relevance.
Yeah.
Up until that point. Like Persona
Haru.
4... Persona 4, for all mine Mills gripes about it, especially Mills, it does at least get around that problem by having Naoto be, like, a presence in the story well before, like, the actual, like, part where she joins.
I actually think Persona 4 Golden, not adding new party members is actually a benefit to the game. I mean, obviously it makes Marie a social link, and I think Marie's one of the weaker social links. But I think the game trying to bend over backwards to suddenly incorporate a playable character that never existed up until that point is why I don't like Kasumi. And I don't even dislike Kasumi. I just don't like how she was added to the game.
I mean, from what I recall, there's also like a lot of other stuff going on in Royal that kind of makes up for some of that wonkiness.
Yeah,
but yeah,
like, you know, you can do like Akechi social link stuff, which is cool.
Oh yeah, Mill had a fun time with the Akechi social link.
It would have been cooler if they let me romance him. I could fix him.
I'm still of the opinion though that the anime is actually a consistently better story that the game tells compared to the actual source material. I would also say, however, that's because the bar is... I don't think Persona 5 is a bad game or has a bad story, but I do think there are consistent problems with the game's story. Like Yusuke, well, his introduction, I should say, and Haru's introduction.
Yeah, Yusuke's introduction is fucking rough.
Because it's crazy, because the anime actually fixes most of the problems with his introduction. Because have either of you seen the anime?
No, I've actually only ever heard criticisms about the anime, funny enough.
So the anime actually doesn't have him basically sexually harass Anne.
That's good.
The reason why I haven't watched the anime is because I don't feel like paying fucking $200 to Aniplex to get the Blu-rays.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
you can yo-ho-ho it.
But yeah, in the anime of Persona, Yusuke, if anything, the story frames it as more as him justifiably being furious at the trespassing that the characters commit. And he doesn't he doesn't threaten Anne to have to do a nude piece of art
portrait.
Yeah. So it basically removes all of the problems that his introduction had. You know when Ryuji gets beaten up by the girls because he does the fake sacrifice?
Yeah.
They don't do that in the anime.
That's good.
The party are just understandably upset that he did what he did. And they yell at him, as you know you would out of concern for a friend who could have died. But that's the most that it goes. Which, you know, I think goes a long way. And, you know, because it's an anime and therefore it truncates the story, I'm really sure it gets rid of, like, the homophobic gay characters that are in the game.
No, I'm sure there's just a full episode about that.
Sorry, homophobic gay characters?
Well, gay characters who are basically like very stereotypes.
Oh, okay.
Like, because Persona has this... I say it's an obsession, where they consistently will add a gay stereotype that pretty much will sexually harass either the main character or some of the party members. And it's supposed to be funny. And it's, in my opinion, why I don't think Persona is actually as good as a lot of people say it is. Because to me,
I don't think that's funny. That's not haha funny, at least, for sure. But Persona also does that thing where it's the hot spring episode, let's have the guys peep on the girls and get beaten up. And then there's guys
the guys who don't peep on the girls but still get beaten up because of a misunderstanding. But let's all laugh because it's haha hee hee, it's very funny, isn't it, guys? Come on. Like, that's the kind of shit Persona does, and it's why I don't care for the series.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Yeah,
it's a problem with Atlas in general.
Yeah, because Yakuza does shit that's similar. Because in the original Yakuza 3, there is a woman who is basically trans. And a recurring gameplay element of the original Yakuza 3 release, and I'm saying original because of a surprise tool that'll come in later, where you are expected to escape from this character, or Kiryu is sexually assaulted as part of a joke.
By which character? Which character is doing the assaulting?
This trans woman who basically chases you, the player, the playable character.
Interesting.
It's not even a story relevant bit. It's just that here's this semi-recurring gameplay element that the game thinks is
let's
funny.
be real though. Let's be real though. That's someone's fantasy somewhere.
So
Everything is someone's fantasy somewhere, but that doesn't make it okay.
So the remaster.
What I mean is that someone could be the writer of it, and the fantasy leaked in.
The remaster actually removed that entire bit from the game, which is good. I'm really glad that they realize that it's problematic and they shouldn't have it, especially when, and I'm sure within that very same game, there is an entire sub-story about a trans woman. And Kiryu's extremely understanding, and it's a shockingly progressive bit of story in a game that was released in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Because it basically tackles the nuances and like fears of a trans person who is worried that their partner, who doesn't know they are trans yet, and how they might react to that. And it's handled
the game did that very, very badly. That's also from Atlas.
Catherine.
Persona.
Yeah, Catherine.
Oh, Catherine. Yeah. I feel like Sega consistently just has these kinds of problems because Yakuza is a Sega game.
Just let them make Sonic and nothing else.
But what's it called? Again, it's. I don't know what's wrong with just, like, a lot of Sega games, but they're really bad with, like, how much they pick and choose when they want to be progressive within the very same games they make. And yeah, like, I don't know. Because, again, in Yakuza 3, it's really crazy because the final boss of the game is just he's gay. Like, without him saying, I am a homosexual man, he is gay. And the game doesn't, like, play it as a joke.
And is that an issue in any way?
No. I mean, unless you consider the final boss of the game being gay is a problem, because I know some people do.
I don't see that as a problem. The main villain of the game can be gay, straight, black, white, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Some people do, and the case I've seen for people say is because, and I don't think it's necessarily a good one, unless, of course, they are a stereotype, or again, it's played for fun, for funnies, or like. But, like, the character in question, him being gay isn't necessarily... Well, him being gay is kind of a plot point, because it's used to explain his devotion to one of the main characters of the story. But it's not portrayed in a way where it's, like, in my opinion, a negative aspect, as in the writing is bad for it. It's portrayed negatively because this character's basically, like, doing awful things. He has an
unhealthy obsession, or...
Yeah. He's doing bad things. He's doing bad things for the sake of the man he loves, but
I mean that's something that happens both. Still... You can swap that for someone who's straight, and the same shit'll happen. So like that, I totally see that as being a fair representation.
But there are some people who get upset at. I mean, this is mostly you could argue this is mostly a straw man that I'm making up, but I've seen it. But there are some people who do not like the idea that a villain could be a protected category, even if them being that protected category is not a negative. It isn't told badly in the story.
Yeah, I think a great example is actually the Black Panther movie from the Marvel franchise, Killmonger. Yeah. Like he is from obviously a protected category, and he's also been precisely victimized to the extent that people want to protect and everything, and he's just like he's taken just the wrong approach for his reprisal. Yeah, like he wants revenge, he wants vindication, he wants vengeance, and it's just not the right way to go about things, and it's a great narrative on that story. I honestly, I love that kind of stuff. It's controversial, but it's very compelling at the same time.
Yeah, I did watch a video recently about this where It was explained like there's a difference between a character who is black versus a black character. Which is like the first is just a character who just so happens to be black, and you could hypothetically change their race and change little else about the character aside from maybe a few aesthetic things. Whereas a black character is a character whose blackness is integral to their character. And the same goes for other minority things as well. Like the Yakuza boss you're describing, Kaido, is a case of a gay character rather than a character who is gay, because his motivations are integral to his character, and his motivations are tied to his sexuality.
I think it's very funny, though, with Yakuza, because of how homoerotic the series is.
Yeah, it almost makes sense that they'd have a gay villain, right?
Well, it's funny because, like...
Not a villain who is gay, a gay villain.
I don't think a single primary antagonist of... Well, no. I don't think a single final boss, I should say, of any of the Like a Dragon / Yakuza games has their... kind of one of their main motivations being because of love or romance. And to be fair, Yakuza 3 has plenty of problems to dislike. The combat is pretty fucking dog shit. It's still good for it's still good because it's a Yakuza game, but it's probably the worst in terms of combat. And how would I describe it? The story, I like Yakuza 3, and I like most of the story, but there is an entire bit where Kiryu is sat in an office where it's like an hour-long bit where you have to have most of the plot explained to you, because they, I guess, couldn't be bothered to actually naturally introduce these plot elements to the game. And I actually forgot that even happened, because it's that bad. But, you know, like, generally the story's not bad. I mean, I'd argue Yakuza games tend to not have amazing plots. But Freeze in particular is, like, not good, which is unfortunate.
I'm not super familiar with the Yakuza franchise, if I'm being honest. I've only, my only exposure really was the one time Mill played it on stream.
Mill, have you beaten Kiwami 1?
I think I did beat it, and then took a break because I was like, it got real rough towards the end in terms of...
Yeah, because the gameplay and the shit, it's not... The ending of Kiwami 1 is awful.
Yeah.
Like, the actual... Playing the game as a game is awful. At the last bit of Kiwami 1. And the plot also, in my opinion, takes a nosedive.
I do now have Yakuza 0 on Steam.
I saw a Steam notification of you playing it the other day.
I don't know if you guys ever got into Call of Duty, but I remember Call of Duty Black Ops 4, I think it was, being super fucking weird in the story mode.
Which is the one where you gun down an airport? Is that 2?
That's
Modern Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare 2, yeah, no Russian.
Remember, no Russian,
which is, yeah, which is actually, like, in the context of the story of the campaign, is very huge. Because it's basically like, oh, you had a guy who was undercover with this Russian Black Ops group that you're trying to, like you're
how
trying to, like...
to be undercover.
But also you can skip segments, so you don't actually have to gun down a bunch of civilians.
If you choose not to gun down the civilians, you get gunned down, and then it makes you start over. So eventually you have to gun down the citizens.
No,
but
you
can gun down as few as...
No, you don't have to gun down
as few as possible.
You can.
It just
you
ends
have
it
to
sooner.
gun down the. You have to gun down the police, but you don't have to gun down the civilians.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah,
because I did actually play Modern Warfare 2 a little bit ago, and you know, I did actually do. I played that mission and was like, yeah, I'm not gonna shoot anybody. I'm just gonna let them do it for me. And
so for the three of you, what's your opinion on how familiar are you guys with the twist of Spec Ops: The Line?
What, the white phosphorus thing?
Yeah.
vaguely.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So in the game, Dylan, Spec Ops: The Line, it's, you know, it styles itself as your typical like military shooter, but there's a bit where the main character uses white phosphorus on a settlement.
White phosphorus being the use of white phosphorus being a war crime.
It's modern napalm. Yeah, it's modern napalm.
It's worse than napalm.
And it's supposed to be, so a lot of people use it as a example of a game where, you know, how much would you consider yourself the player and the character, you know? Like, and using it as an example of like a meta twist, because it's mandatory, you can't progress the game without doing it, you have to press the button, but people use it as this big like example of like, oh, look at how good a game's narrative can be when you're like, you know, here's what happens when you think you're the hero but you're actually the villain. Because in my opinion there's better pieces of media that do that anyway. But Spec Ops: The Line is generally considered like the if not the originator, but at least the like one of the main like examples of that, a game doing that. You know, your mileage may vary whether it's effective or not. I don't think it particularly is. But I think that's part of because people don't shut the fuck up about it.
It's edgy, so like of course people are gonna be interested in that kind of stuff.
I mean, to be fair, the game, the big twist of the game, spoilers for people who like haven't played this. What is it, like a decade old?
I also haven't played it, so like.
I think it's older, but yeah.
It came out in 2012, so yeah, this.
But I also don't mind spoilers because I don't know if I'm gonna play anything like that.
This decade and change game, like spoilers for that, but the real reveal is the guy you've been sent to save and rescue doesn't actually exist. He's actually a construct of the player character's imagination, because he's that fucked in the head from the horrors of war that he felt like he needed to imagine a just cause. Not pun not intended because of the game series. But he basically needed to imagine himself being the hero.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think there's either two endings where you basically like gun yourself, you like, I think either the player character kills himself or they get like they're about
that's almost like how was it BioShock Infinite? Isn't BioShock Infinite just like the main character gaslighting himself the whole time?
Might be the first BioShock. I'm not sure.
No,
I played BioShock Infinite. Yeah, that's about the only. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Infinite, or at the very least, it's like an alternate version of the main character. Did all of those terrible things. It's meant to be a bit weird anyway, Infinite, which I think is fine. I also, side tangent, I think it's crazy that like Overwatch porn only exists because of BioShock Infinite, as a funny tangent.
Wait, what? How? Why?
Please explain,
please.
Because almost all of the SFM porn of video game characters that you see today is because the heroine of BioShock 2, I think.
You mean Infinite?
Yeah, of Infinite. Basically, someone wanted to make porn of Elizabeth so badly, they basically pioneered the tech that is still basically used to this day.
Damn.
Wow.
So
That's
every
dedication.
Every
Given
bit
the
of
story, I could understand it, but it's still extra.
Every bit of Overwatch porn you've seen, every bit of stuff like that, is because of BioShock Infinite.
Wild.
I'm appalled, but I understand.
Law first adopters, my friend.
Again, funny tangent, but what I was saying, yeah, with games and basically like tricking you into actually doing these heinous things. I think they only work.
Tempts you to goon.
I think, because like Nier, for an example, the Nier Replicant / Gestalt, the first one, I think does a good job of having you do not so nice things, while also still garnering sympathy from everyone involved. Because, you know, the enemies of the game, the Shades, you know, some of them are peaceful and don't immediately try to kill you, but so many of them are frequently evil enough that you can't blame the characters for slaughtering them as they come and go. But you also can't understand what they say because they don't speak English. So there's that whole thing of, well, of course it's going to be near impossible for them to coexist because, you know, how are you supposed to coexist with someone you physically cannot in any way understand, you know? Not to say that is actually objectively, you know, a case of real life, but like the circumstances that happen in Nier, it's hard not to blame the way the story turns out. Because also, like, the main character has no reason to want to coexist with these creatures. Because imagine if these monsters were the reason that everything is going wrong with you in the world. And that's kind of what you've always known. Again, not to say that's necessarily a justified view. But again, if you can't understand these creatures, and still, a lot of them do just attack you on sight. Like, you know, would you be able to necessarily blame someone for, like, not wanting to coexist with these creatures?
It's like Mass Effect, the Renegade argument.
I mean, at least with Renegade, the problem is with that is that, like, if anything, it feels satirical to me.
Yeah, you're just so much of a dick.
Because, like, I think they kind of became self-aware of the problems with Renegade when they did, like, a general reputation check instead. Because I'm sorry, but Renegade Shepherd, like, in most circumstances would not be able to unite the Quarians and the Geth.
No.
Paragon Shepherd, of course.
Yeah, I just think
the reason that Renegade Shepherd is able to unify the Quarian and the Geth is just like, hey, get over your bullshit and let's save the galaxy, pieces of shit, and then it somehow works.
I mean, to be fair, he does basically say, yeah, if you just kill each other, that's fine, I'm not going to get involved, and it's all your fault if you all die. Which, you know,
yeah, more or less,
on some level, is kind of based, because I would also be sick of them if I had to deal with 3 games of their nonsense. Again, you know, also, spoilers for Mass Effect 3, this decade-plus long game that's been out for a long time.
Fooey, I was gonna restart the Legendary Edition next week, and you've just ruined it. No.
First game came out in like 2007, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
2012 as well as Spec Ops: The Line, which makes sense because shooters were really big in the early new tens.
Yep, that was the golden age of first-person shooters.
Which I think is also what nearly killed the Yakuza series.
It certainly led to fucking Dragon Age getting shafted.
2011, Yakuza Dead Souls had come out, which was, what if we decided to make Yakuza, but as a third-person zombie shooter? The game did so terribly, it nearly killed the franchise in the West.
And I have a copy of it on PS3.
So I will say, I actually think Yakuza Dead Souls is kind of peak. I don't disagree or blame people for thinking it's not very good, but the game is so fucking unserious. You should not hold it to the same standards as the rest of the games in the series.
Yeah. I mean, I remember doing the fucking like weird submission that was sort of a reference to it in. It was either Zero or
Kiwami 1.
Kiwami 1, yeah.
Well, because the music they play for that entire segment is based on the Majima theme while you play as him in the game.
But it was genuinely just so dumb and fun, like, that I couldn't help but enjoy it.
But yeah, what was I going to say? Again, going off on tangents. Oh yeah, with like Shepard, because like Renegade Shepard is such a funny existence when it's basically like you can either just be horrible, like unnecessarily cruel most of the time, or you can kind of, sleep nicely after, being nice.
What is it? You can commit how many genocides in the game on a Renegade run?
You can do
4, I think.
You end the words. You end the Rachni, because that is basically the Renegade option.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
You fuck over the Krogan.
To be fair, that's not technically. Is it the Renegade option for that?
You still save Rex. You're still able to save Rex with the Renegade. You just kill off the Krogan race.
Well, no. This is it. This is in 3.
Here we go. Here we go.
3.
8 genocides, 5 squad mates, 0 squad survivors across all 3 games.
That's bad Renegade. You can play good Renegade and still
be a male
people.
Shepherd. Ashley love interest, so we can betray her twice and shoot her. Keep Rex alive. Kill Kirahi, helps you shoot Ashley. Kill Caden and Vermeer, so you can shoot Ashley yourself. Since everyone seems to hate the soldier more than the biotic who can loot things. Kill the council. Kill the Verachnide queen if you're genocide maxing.
Genocide maxing is crazy.
Jack is a love interest because Miranda needs to be disloyal to kill her off, and we need to cheat on Ashley to twist the knife, but also abandon our girlfriends to Cerberus, the NGO that tortured her entire childhood, and then murder her brainwashed husk. Give Legion to Cerberus. We need to kill off Tally later so we can't betray him personally after making him our friend. Give the evidence to the Admiral so Tally hates you. Destroy the Geth if you're taking the worst possible playthrough here. Take Samara over Morinth because oh my god, this is going to be awful. Grunt and
Wait, Samara or a Morinth? Oh wait, wouldn't it be Morinth over Samara?
No, because Samara can kill herself.
Oh.
Grunt and Zaid need to be disloyal. Don't think the data matters because we're going to kill Eve off in the bomb explosion. Suicide mission. Get Garrus killed off. Get Jacob killed off. Kill Fane so the Cancer dies. Optional. Get Kasumi killed off, mostly so you can commit some more genocides in ME3 if you're not genocide maxing. Feel free to leave her alive at ME3 so you can personally leave her to die. Optional, up to you if you want to kill Miranda here so you have an easier time killing her sister in ME3. As far as I know, the only way to do this is to bring her to the final boss while disloyal. And then destroy the Collector's base so you always have access to destroy. And then go do Zaid's loyalty mission and leave him to die.
Yep.
ME3. There's an invasion on. You're a busy man. Why would you ever go to visit Ashley? Also, shut up that annoying woman hard on Mars. Grunt dies saving the Rachni. We double tap Mordin, which lets us take out Rex for the giggles. Everything is set up to double tap Ashley on the way to Udina. Bonus points if she was the ME1 love interest, though that probably requires cheating on her. Oh god, Samara, what are you doing? Also, let me kill your daughter next to your stillborn corpse.
Fuck.
What the fuck?
Tally dies when you save the Geth. Tell Javik to take a look at his memory shard. Legion can now be murdered by your own hand in the Cerberus base. Jack can now also be murdered by your hand because you don't save her. take Liara and James to the beam so they get gibbed by Harbinger, because I guarantee you don't have enough war assets to get the best endings. Technically, refusal kills everyone, but we want everyone to die by our hand, so bad destroy ending it is.
Which also kills all the Geth and Edie.
So, but actual personal genocides, the Rachni won, Quarians by picking the Geth by picking Destroy, Hanar and Drell by picking Jondam Bao over the Hanar defenses, Elcor by just not doing the mission, Protheans by way of Memory Shard, and the Krogan by doing everything wrong. Don't cure the Genophage, don't do the Cerberus mission, don't do the bomb, and pick the Rachni breeder.
God.
But again, the game isn't like... There isn't a whole thing of that Shepard has convinced themselves they are the hero. This is you deliberately doing these horrible things. And again, by free, it borders into the point of parody.
Yeah, you can be cartoonishly awful.
I'm gonna do it.
Are you going to genocide Max, Dylan?
Genocide Max is crazy. Yes.
I can't, honestly. I
was literally trying to do a Renegade run
option.
where it's like Renegade run, but you keep the most people. I was like trying to be the best bad guy ever. Like,
So,
whereas
Mil,
like I kill the least amount of people.
Mill, I know it'll probably make the video or even the stream age restricted or like not allowed, but if the absolute worst scenario ever happens with humans in my campaign, I beg you to call either the stream or the YouTube video genocide maxing.
We are not pursuing the final solution. That is not going to happen. We are not genociding humans in our campaign, in our good Christian campaign.
I mean, you've done enough of the good options to kind of lower the opportunities to cause the worst things to happen. Maybe that's a spoiler, but like, you're already on your way to doing good things.
We
so,
should be
Thank
able
God.
to. We should theoretically be able to avoid genocide.
That's good.
Theoretically.
Worst case scenario, Nuremberg.
Remember, Jack, your character is also half human.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta be aware of that.
I know.
I know your dad's an asshole.
We don't need to relitigate this. Also, this is some weird ass imagery going on here.
Yeah, this seems to
even
be
looking.
like a cult took over this
Oh,
place.
hello! What the fuck is that? I wasn't even looking at that. That's crazy.
Yep.
And you're there with the fucking squeegee?
Yep.
It's crazy.
But yeah, what was I saying now? Yeah. Going back to the original point I was trying to make, because I went off on way too many tangents. I think it's really interesting though when games do try to be like, twist, you're actually not a nice guy. Because, I was going to say a spoiler for a JRPG, but it's actually a genuinely cool twist, and so I won't. But there's a JRPG you can buy that got remastered a while ago that also has a big twist where you, the player character, are a villain, and technically the player character themselves doesn't even know.
Oh man.
It's really cool.
Hans, are we the baddies?
If anything, it's probably one of the earliest, like, well-known examples of, like, a twist of you being a villain.
What game is it?
I'll DM it you. Because I won't say, just in case, you know.
I have genuinely never heard of that game.
To be fair, it's a relatively not well-known GameCube game originally that then got remastered. And to be fair, no one expected the game to get remastered. Like, it's one of those kinds of remasters where it's like, this is a miracle it ever came into existence.
Yeah.
I originally wanted to do that with a D&D campaign as like a whole thing of like, surprise, you're actually like the villains. The only reason I wouldn't, and I think it's again a thing with how tabletop games as a medium are, I think there's ways to remove or fuck with the agency of players, but I don't think that's a good way to do it.
It would be fun to do for a one-shot.
I think there's ways to, again, like, fuck with the agency of players. I just think, like, imagine if you guys were actually secretly the villains all along. Like, everything you've done is actually, like, evil. Like,
Cult of the Tarrasque was right.
Yeah, like, imagine if it turns out the Cult of the Tarrasque was actually right in their extremism. Like, what if the humans actually would, like, you know... Like, that would be awful. Like, I genuinely think it would be objectively terrible unless I was a god at storytelling. And I would like to think I'm pretty goated when I want to be. But I don't think there's a way for me to do that unless I was to go back in time and change a lot of things about the story leading up to that kind of reveal. Because I think if you were going to do that kind of twist, you need to really be good at handling it in such a way where it doesn't come off as a awful wow. But yeah, I don't think there's a way I could do it right now without it being horribly contrived and being terribly handled. Because again, like, nothing at any point has the campaign ever led you to believe that the Cult of the Tarrasque aren't evil. And it's very
It could be one of the things. It could be one of those things where it's like there's no good guys and everybody's an asshole.
See, I think that's fine. I will also say, I think, again, going back to the concept of just because you do something with intent doesn't mean it's good.
Exactly, yeah.
Instead
the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Instead of difficulty, this is the concept of grey versus grey morality. I think, as good as Dragon Age 2 is, they did not handle grey versus grey morality correctly at all.
Which one?
Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the issue with Dragon Age in general, and it's...
Because it's very clear they're aware that the whole thing with Orsino as a boss was stupid. They had no choice, from what I recall, to do that as a boss fight, but it's very clear they're self-aware of how badly it was handled. Because in Inquisition, you can just ask Varric, why the fuck did this even happen?
I mean, look, in the Dragon Age franchise as a whole, there are a lot of issues that you can just sort of look at and go, why did this happen? And the answer is typically because they were rushed to absolute fucking back and got no support.
I love the idea that it can justify most of the problems with Dragon Age 2 by just saying that Varric is very bad at, like, certain aspects of storytelling.
Yeah, Varric was just like, look, it was
like,
a bit of a...
the enemies came down from the
I made it the fuck up.
Yeah.
Of course this next wave of grunts came down from the ceiling. He's just not very good at implementing, like, villain, like,
the point
more
is, he
doesn't
know exactly where they came from. He was in the middle of a fight at the time. They just sort of appeared.
Also, you gotta remember, Varric is like in universe a trash novelist for the most part.
I mean,
he's also trolling Cassandra for most of it.
Yeah.
Like he's explicitly just sort of wasting her time.
Yeah.
Oh, also, like, I do want to go back to your thing about, like, good actions, bad intentions, and the vice versa. Like, it does remind me of a story of, I heard secondhand, of a rich man going to, I think it was a rabbi, who and offering to build an orphanage, and then later coming back to the rabbi and saying, I've decided not to build the orphanage because I was doing it for my own feelings of goodness. And the rabbi's like, I don't give a shit about your intentions. It would have been good for the orphans if you built the fucking orphanage.
Yeah.
Like, we can say all we want about intent, but ultimately the results also matter a lot. Like,
yeah. Because again,
I do think some of the whole thing about like intent mattering does derive from, you know, just how much we've been socialized through Christianity and how much that affects it.
Like, again with like difficulty, just because you make something with the intent of it being quote unquote hard doesn't mean you've actually made it hard while also being a rewarding experience. Because you can make something difficult, but it might be difficult because it's just fucking awful to deal with.
Yeah, and honestly, I will give it this. Hades is really good at making like more difficult, but like satisfying to defeat bosses.
Yeah. The only boss I genuinely struggled on was Asterius and Theseus.
Yeah.
I hate that fight so much. I'm still stuck on it.
And that's more because of my experience.
Did you say Theseus? Theseus?
Yeah. Theseus.
You know the guy who killed the Minotaur?
No, Theseus.
You know the guy who went in the labyrinth, killed the Minotaur, and led himself back with the string? That Theseus?
Well, yeah, no, I just thought it was a pun about, like, shit. Theseus, but shit.
I mean, to be fair, he is a shitty person, because he's a pompous prick.
Yeah, honestly, that's
which is why he's so funny.
That's what made that boss fight so frustrating to me, because he was such a dick that every time I failed, it was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I have to deal with him again.
My first winning playthrough was on God mode because I couldn't beat Theseus and Asterius.
He's got the pressure washer out.
Every subsequent playthrough, I turned off God mode and I clapped Theseus. In fact, there's actually times where the Hydra.
I can't stop hearing Theseus.
I mean, he is
great to think about. It's a shithead. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because the whole point of the fight, Dylan, is that he's calling you a blackguard and acting like you're the villain.
Yeah,
and he's like hyping up the crowd because he's playing you as he's treating you like a heel and he's the face.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Luckily, you have one fan in that audience.
Which is very cute. And to be fair, also, Asterius is well aware that you're also not a terrible person.
Oh, yeah, no, Asterius is like, look, I'm sorry about him, dude. Just
I'm sorry, but
we're like...
we're a couple, and I can't exactly, you know...
Yeah.
I can't disagree with my hubby. Like, I get it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's just...
I also have similar feelings about Asterius, about fucking the Scylla in 2, as I do Asterius.
I've still not even seen a lick of anything to do with Hades 2 since it actually became playable.
Well, it's coming out in 4 days.
I will probably not be playing it anytime soon. I still haven't I haven't done much of Expedition 33.
I've heard that one's a good one, though the parry mechanics. I've heard a lot of things about the parry mechanics.
My problem is my parry mechanics in games are like DMC, where when I press the button, I am parrying. Like, I'm not pressing the button to then parry moments later, and it keeps fucking me up. I expect when I'm pressing it. Yeah, and I don't think that's a problem. But how would I describe it? The parry window in Expedition 33 is also not very generous, even on easier difficulties. It's like a fraction of a second in length. And the problem is in Expedition 33, if you fuck up the parry at any point, you basically might as well dodge the rest of the attack chain because you don't get the benefits. You only get benefited if you parry every single attack in a chain of attacks.
Sounds about right.
Which I think is fine. But again, like, I don't find myself incentivized to parry when I'm not playing on the hardest difficulty.
Yeah.
And I don't intend to, because on the hardest difficulty, I would sooner, like, I was going to say rip my cock off, but I think that's a bit too disproportionate. But it feels like doing that. Because, like, I don't know.
I mean, look, Expedition 33 is a game that I can absolutely respect. It seems like it has a really, really good story and really good characters, but I'm probably not going to play it anytime soon.
I really
think I just hate it gameplay-wise.
The problem I have with Expedition 33 is that currently Genshin Impact's story is like gas. And a lot of my attention right now is on Genshin Impact. And Honkai Star Rail's having its newest update soon. So I also want to play that. I will say, Expedition 33 is probably the only game that has actually made me really cry in like the opening 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And they're all French people as well, which is incredible. Yeah.
I mean, look, it's incredible how many French people are in the cast of characters when, you know, all of the fucking voice actors are seemingly British.
Well, that's the English track. You can actually play it with French voice actors.
Yeah, but who would want to do that?
Which I actually think is kind of upsetting, because I kind of don't like that the only actors that have really gotten acclaim and recognition are the English actors.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think I'm all for Ben Starr and Jennifer English and other big, like, I'm really glad to see British voice actors be more normalized to the ear of people who are playing video games. Mm-hmm. Especially as FromSoft has had a big boom in players since Elden Ring came out. And Hades, because to be fair, it's very easy to forget that, like, all the Olympians in Zagreus are British actors. Mm-hmm. However, I also think it's sad that the French voice actors aren't given the same level of attention that the English actors are for Expedition 33.
That is unfortunate. I do think it is a consequence of, like, most of, like, the target audience of the of most games being Anglophones.
Or maybe it's just better.
I also don't think that could also be the case. Europeans as a whole are kind of expected to listen to the game in English, even if they have the subtitles in their actual mother tongue. Mm-hmm. Which, like, dubbing isn't cheap.
No.
Like, I don't blame companies not getting foreign language actors. Like, I always forget that Final Fantasy XIV has a French and Dutch voice track. Because most people play it in English or Japanese. Which, is... I like that other languages are allowed the chance to have their voices heard. Mm-hmm.
Literally.
And to be fair, I am playing Expedition 33 in English. If I ever do a second playthrough... I really am. If I do play it again... I say if. I will say when I play it again. After beating this playthrough, I will play it in French. But... Oh.
You are tripping balls.
This is a nightmare.
You must be ready to sacrifice.
You say as you put away your shrooms, yes.
Go back to that guy again. That's the kind of shit my dogs see when I'm about to go into the fridge late at night.
So what is this? You're cleaning up a crime scene and then all of a sudden you're in this fucking medieval chamber thing?
Well, it looks like there's some sort of, like, murder-suicide cult.
Yeah.
Generally, most
I've only been half paying attention. I've been doing my own thing on my end. Dreamcatcher. That's cool.
I'm watching this, but without any sound, so I'm having to, you and I, Dylan, for different reasons, are interpreting these scenes.
Yeah, I'm just hearing like all this do but do yabba
Here down to the bone.
I'm blue. If I was
Like
green, I would
that dude's
die.
literally just that dude's literally just sat in a tanning bed.
Yeah, I think this might also be a cannibalistic cult.
Oh, the
That's
best
fine.
kind.
Yeah.
That makes sense. See, it's really funny. I was originally going to have the cult that are asked be cannibals, but I felt like that would be too silly.
Genuinely, what is the funniest kind of cult, though?
I was going to say sex cults, but no, that's actually probably all. Those tend to be the worst.
Yeah, no, those are
Yeah, because
fucking
they're the
vile.
most alluring to a lot of people. Because
Well, not even
Sex.
that, but some people lured into it and have that against their will.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, they tend to be the most disturbing in that, like,
I know
lots
what's
of sex
well,
crimes.
no. So I was going to joke and say that what I think is the funniest cult, but one, it's actually not funny, and two, it's might be a bit too politically charged.
Is it the cult that a couple of famous actors belong to?
I mean, I was going to say
Scientology.
no, I was going to say MAGA.
Ah, yes. It's basically a cult.
I don't know
Fuck
if
it,
that's technically a cult.
It
Fuck
is.
it, they had idolized Donald Trump in a way that Christianity would not actually allow.
We don't need to get into the politics of it. It is
But
very
yeah,
political.
that was the joke I was trying to not say because I knew it wouldn't be thingy, but no, fuck it, I'll just say it. Because you know, to be fair, my D&D campaign is very left-leaning with the politics. Like, I don't care if people think it's.
Oh,
woke.
I never noticed.
At that point, get filtered. I'm sorry if you think that people who are literally fighting for the rights of others and to make the world a better place could be seen as bad. You know, the fact that Rua's dad literally, almost single-handedly, helped turn the tide of a war for a country that he never actually has had any attachment to. Like, heaven forbid that, like, the campaign's entire existence is based on, like, a critique of, you know, like, nationalism and shit like that.
Yeah, so there's this quote I really find very illustrative and interesting. Don't remember exactly how it goes, but it goes something like, for anyone who has privilege, equality feels like oppression.
I can see that. But, like, because what's it called? Oh, very nice. The pool's filled.
Nice.
But yeah,
Anyone
you know,
sees,
like,
sees a table out of place, let me know, because I'm really fucking stumped.
Can't you
yeah,
can't use your thing to see where things are?
I'm trying. It's not working very well right now.
But yeah,
I know where it's supposed to go. Because it's supposed to go here, but I
What
can't
about the
see
shower? What about the shower room in there? Yeah, like in that area, isn't there a table? No.
Oh, I saw one. Remember you
Yeah.
moved it.
As I was saying, though, I think, you know, my political feelings on things are pretty clear from how I tell the story and the kind of things that I clearly try to portray as good things within the setting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
Also-
yeah, sure, there are some, like, grey and nuances.
Also, what I find really funny is whenever someone's like, "Stop trying to bring politics into fiction or anything like that." It's like,
A lot of
bro.
I will say, and again, this isn't like supposed to be like a whole thing on politics, but far too many people are afraid of talking about politics because, unfortunately, even something as wishing people having something as, in my opinion, kind as wishing children could have free school meals is seen as
Yeah.
political.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. But that's going on a whole separate thing that, you know, that's not, you know, we don't, it's not a discussion we need to necessarily have. But as I was saying, though, like with my campaign and like the messages I want to portray is that, you know, people deserve to live, people deserve to be happy, people shouldn't have to be like, you know, treated as second-class citizens, you know, because of their existence.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the current arc of the campaign is discussing the nuances of, like, well, what is going to happen to the humans? And what is a good way to effectively, how could you potentially punish humans without being too soft or too strict? Because, do you be very like, we're going to make examples of humans, but then potentially not actually help the problems that had been caused in the first place? But do you become too soft that it could allow others to try again? Or think that it's fine to try again?
Mm-hmm.
You know who I think we were too soft on? The fucking Nazis.
Yeah.
Well, it also didn't help that, like...
Nuremberg trials and everything. What do you mean?
It also didn't help
Unless
that
you went on manhunts in Argentina, I don't know what else more you wanted people to do.
It didn't also help that they got recruited.
Dylan, 2 words. Operation Paperclip.
Well, yeah, we got our use out of them. They did not live lives, even as they were working for us.
But again, though,
let's be real.
Again, though, like, how would... Again, as I've said throughout the campaign, like, how should the humans be dealt with, or how should, what should be the best course of action? And again, there's no objectively good or easy answer to make that could solve everything. Because, not every person that is part of the cult has a choice to even leave. A lot of them have been indoctrinated. There's only people like Colgan who outright doesn't actually care about the cult. It's just that he also can't afford to abandon people who effectively look up to him and he is supposed to, like, guide and order. And, sure, he could potentially try to get some of them to follow him and defect, but it's also not that easy to just leave that kind of group.
Is it possible you need to look up, Mel?
I'm looking up. There's nothing up.
I know. I'm just referencing
Son of a whore.
That. Yeah.
It was in plain fucking sight.
But
damn it.
Yeah, again, like, how the whole point is, like, especially with this arc, it's supposed to be a discussion of such a very loaded and difficult topic to navigate, which I wanted to, because it compares to to Eben's Wing and how they are very clearly bad guys. Eben is evil. He is a horrible person. So it made it very easy for you guys to, to just condemn him and, fight him. Whereas, your first introduction to Colgan, for example, was very negative. He's part of the cults. He also cut one of your friend's arms off. But then you met him again, and it turns out he's actually very competent, very intelligent, very reasonable. And he's technically not an enemy. And you've got people like Layla, who was originally... I was originally just going to have her get killed off. But then I was like, fuck it, I'll make her a redeemed character.
Here's the thing about killing characters off. Like, it's often the easy thing to do, but at the same time, like, there's so much more potential to explore 9 times out of 10 in just keeping them around and finding things for them to do.
I think because I went through the effort to clearly portray Eben as such a bad parent, aside from, wanting to steal the body of his son to, gain power, through Kuro, I went very hard into having people like Layla detest him so badly that I was like, fuck it, why don't I make her redeemable? Because she clearly hates him, and it wouldn't make sense to have her be killed off when she has no loyalty to him. Whereas Testament, like, no, he actively is fine with the slavery of, like, Black Rain and shit like that. At no point did I ever give him nuances in, like, yeah, he's a likable guy. So it was fine to kill him off, because I made him a villain.
Villains aren't usually best just being killed off. Put the hand on the dog. Put the hand on the dog.
That is the closest I can get.
Oh.
And you know, you've got like Aldane's uncle Orkan, who also is a massive piece of shit, has never been portrayed as a good person in any capacity. And so, you know, you kind of can just eventually kill him with no qualms.
It's interesting to see, like, things about, like, whether a character is, like, truly redeemable or not, and how that plays into, like,
I mean, it's interesting to think Vegeta was not going to be redeemed. It was just that he was that popular.
I mean, if we're being honest, like, it would have made sense if Toriyama just decided, fuck it, I'm not redeeming Vegeta. Because Vegeta's a real fucking piece of shit.
Do you think if
he's the Tien of Z, though? He's the Tien of Dragon Ball Z.
Do you think if Raditz was popular, do you think he would have been redeemed?
Yes.
Yeah. The
Probably.
thing with Raditz is, like, he was also just, like...
Why would you put
He was
the
a throwaway
microwave
character.
It's not that. It's that Raditz is, like, someone we don't see doing heinous shit. We do see Vegeta doing a lot of shit, but mostly that's after his fight with Goku and co.
Well, I don't know.
Like-
He was pretty... Although, I was going to say he was pretty fine with Nappa leveling the city. He wasn't fine with leveling the city, but only because the Dragon Ball could have been destroyed. Because we
Yeah,
don't
that's more
actually know...
pragmatic evil.
It's interesting, we've never known how durable the Dragon Balls actually are. At no point
and we'll
has
never
anyone
find out.
At no point has the question ever been, can the Dragon Balls be physically smashed?
I mean,
Supposedly,
closest
Krillin
thing
was
comes
able to
to
do
happening
it
is when
on
Tapai,
Namek, supposedly, but there's no
Well,
proof of that.
Yeah,
The
he could
closest
have
we
been...
get to testing their durability limits is when Tao Pai Pai shoots Goku, who has Dragon Ball in his
True.
pockets.
Yeah, because he uses the Dodon Palm Goku. I mean, with
Yeah.
Krillin trying to punch the orb, that could have potentially just... Well, it was very likely that was him bluffing to the Ginyu Force anyway. To get them to, like, back off. It just didn't help that, you know, Guldo.
yeah. I mean, it probably does say something that, say, King Piccolo, when, you know, he made his wish, his decision was just to kill the dragon rather than try and break the balls.
Well, he didn't even wish to kill the dragon. He just killed the dragon.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
used his power to kill the dragon instead of, you know, break the balls.
Yeah. Which, again, is actually... Oh, no, I was going to say, Zamasu also killed the dragon. I think. Yeah, he did. He just kills the dragon, which is so funny, because it's like... I don't know. I mean, I guess he didn't... I guess he was still potentially worried that he could have been stopped. Even if he had immortality or Goku's body, because it's not like they couldn't have sent the Grand Priest after him.
Mhm.
Although clearly the Grand Priest didn't give a fuck. Because it's very clearly implied that at no point did anyone be like, maybe we should have Zeno, like, you know, plead to him to get him to, like, deal with Zamasu. Which is very interesting to consider.
Mm-hmm. Are you just fucking up your apartment at this point?
Yeah, because we have like 10 minutes left and I don't really want to start a new mission.
Fair.
So it's
But,
like, why the fuck not?
Yeah. Okay, here's a question. Unrelated to previous topics, but kind of related to, like, boss fights and such.
Mm-hmm.
How much you think, like, a wake-up call boss fight is basically just a squash match in video game form?
What do you mean?
You know what squash match is, right? Like,
No.
it's basically a match where it's like the whole point is one person curb stomping the other person to illustrate how strong the first person is.
I mean, the Black Knight in
Yeah.
my campaign.
We almost beat him.
You did, to be fair.
Yeah.
The funny thing was, I did not even consider you guys could have beaten him. Not because I didn't have any doubt, but because I was so certain that the Black Knight would have just curb stomped you that fast.
Yeah.
But like, I need to remember. To be fair, though, and it's stupid of me to think that, because the corpse flower happened before that.
Mm-hmm.
I still tell friends about the corpse flower. How Mill nearly got a level on his own because he nearly entirely soloed that fight.
I will always be grateful to Witchbolt for that.
Yeah, genuinely, probably the only good circumstance of Witchbolt.
Yeah.
I forget what that spell does specifically.
You hit an enemy, and then you have to spend your action to re-trigger the damage.
Yeah.
But
which is fine, but like...
It's also 30 feet, which is, not that long of a distance. You'd want it to be a lot further away as a spellcaster.
Yeah, because if you're a ranged attacker, you're probably trying to run away from the melees who are trying to beat you to death to ruin your concentration.
But in this case, the room was quite small. It was too busy dealing with the three of you, and so I was just like, I'm just going to sit here and deal damage.
Also, actually, speaking of D&D, originally, because now I can spoil the things I had for Aldane's reward from Byakko.
Oh.
One of the things I was going to give Aldane was either... I think I've said this one before, where Aldane would be able to do effectively, like, punches and kicks using, like, claws like the Byakko at the cost of his AC, but also gaining higher movement speed. Another thing I was going to do is Aldane would have actually been able to actually access a terrain to create. And then it would have been a matter of figuring out what the abilities of the terrain would have been. And I was like, nah, I don't think that works. I'm too lazy.
You don't want me to have a domain expansion, that's it.
It's not that. It's just I feel like what Aldane got was more appropriate, ultimately.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I just want to joke about domain expansions.
By the way, guys, Rapture's happening Tuesday, so be ready for that.
True. I forgot about that.
Oh, do you feel ready to be rapture bombed out of existence?
Have you heard that, Dylan?
No, I know what the rapture is biblically.
It's the rapture.
Saying that people are saying there's people.
The rapture isn't in the Bible.
There's people on like TikTok and shit saying the rapture's happening this Tuesday. So there's actual like Christians who are quitting their jobs and selling their things because they believe they don't need it when the rapture comes.
The shit's been happening for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
How do people still keep falling for this shit?
I'll be honest. The Venn diagram of smartest Christian and it's not. I'm trying to think of how to describe it.
Fanatic, maybe?
Yeah, does not overlap really at all. Stupidest Christian and no, that was it. Easily. Very gullible and stupidest Christian has such an overlap, it's practically a circle. That's better to say. Just like how, smartest bear and stupidest park goer is also a very surprising overlap.
There's definitely some bears that are smarter than people.
Well, that's in reference to the whole thing with park rangers and how they have to deal with, like, designing trash cans.
Yeah.
Because, like, they need to make it such that even the dumbest park goer can figure out how to use them, but also make it such that the smartest bear can't figure out how to dig into the trash can.
Yep. Tough overlap.
I think
the in-between option is to have written directions, but there's no guarantee that dumb people will listen to those directions.
I think the problem is...
I can't stop me because I can't read.
I think the problem is just anyway, is that far too many people are so tunnel visioned that they don't even consider looking around for things. I think generally just anyway, we as people are far too comfortable letting lazy people get away with being lazy. Which I'm not going to say we should be able to punish lazy people for not paying attention, because how would we do that anyway?
How would we determine when someone's being lazy versus like just not being engaged?
Yeah, but like, you know, and that's, I don't say that's the problem in and of itself, because it isn't.
Careful, you sound a little conservative right there.
When it comes to being a misanthrope, why not?
No, seriously, no, like people really should try to find passion and effort in what they're doing for a living.
I mean, so as someone who works in a library, the amount of times where I tell colleagues there's no point in putting these signs up because people refuse to even read eye-level signs. The amount of times where a customer will be like, "Where's this?" and it's like you literally passed the sign that would have told you if you were actually looking. What would have been in your, not even peripheral, but in your basic cone of vision.
Honestly, I feel like every single working adult should spend at least 1 year working in like the service industry just to understand like what that actually entails and to, you know,
what dealing with the fucking public is like.
Do you know those machines that simulate the pains of pregnancy? What should happen is there should be a Big Brother-esque surveillance presence, so that people who don't pay attention to basic stuff have to deal with progressively higher levels of those contractions. Not to the point where it ever gets to like a 10 out of 10 on the pain scale, because that's barbaric, but like 7 at max. Why not? And then, yeah, you know, oh, you missed this eye level sign that you should have been able to easily read. All right, we're going to put that to a level 2. Oh, you... I'm trying to think of another example now. I actually can't think of any other examples, because that's always the one that happens at my work.
Yeah, see, like, the damn signs! These whippersnappers!
Or at the very least, repeated infractions should be either more consistent activations of those contraction machines, or the setting gets turned higher. Again, cap it at level 7 out of 10, because again, we're not barbarians, we're civilized folk.
No, we're a wizard, bard, and paladin.
Yeah, and you're civilized folk.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I think a spell that just inflict... Oh no, wait, there are spells that basically inflict menstrual cramps. Like, there are actual spells that basically do that anyway. I keep forgetting there are.
Anyway, we should probably call the stream here. So, thank you everybody for watching and listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed. In terms of future stuff, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, please do give us a follow here on Twitch and all that YouTube stuff.
Like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, and please press that bell icon, yo.
And otherwise,
don't forget as well, there is also I don't know if it's for big streamers, but I know the hype button is a thing now on YouTube. Where you can like hype a video and basically do the stuff that liking, commenting, and subscribing used to do.
Oh. I'm not sure if we have that.
I think it might only be for bigger creators.
Great.
But yeah, again, you know, because YouTube
we're
has
creators?
to...
Is that the designation that describes us?
No.
Technically, I am, because I run a D&D campaign, and like these two effectively run a stream.
I was gonna say I just show up and play, and then
which is completely valid.
But yes, if the hype button exists on YouTube, press that as well. Why not? And otherwise, hopefully, we'll see you on Tuesday. Good night.
Later.